Ruth brought all the packets up today.
Good, thank you.
I think he was part of his like weightlifting program or something.
Yeah, correct. That was his exercise.
This meeting of the Berry County Board of Commissioners is called to order. Will Commissioner, staff, and guests please rise for invocation, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Heavenly Father, we just thank you for another awesome day in Berry County. We ask you to guide and bless us in our decision making as we consider the benefits and the people in our county. We also ask a special prayer over our departed brother Dan Parker, who a year ago today left us. In your name we pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. For the purposes of attendance, the clerk will call the roll.
Campbell.
Here.
Connor.
Here.
Geiger.
Here.
Getty.
Here.
Gibson.
Here.
Jackson.
Here.
Smelker.
Here.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Approval of written agenda. This time, any commissioner or member of the public may ask for an item to be removed from the consent agenda and placed under items for consideration. Hearing no such request, does any commissioner wish to change the agenda additionally? Hearing no such request and without objection, the agenda is approved as written. Reports from state and county officers. At this time, any state or county officer or their representative may share a report with the board. Good morning, Sheriff.
Good morning. Says the battery's gone. Okay, you hear me all right? I'll just speak up a little bit. Is it working? November numbers for corrections staff as booked, processed 147 persons into the jail. And, for the month of November, additionally released 96 persons back into the community. The daily average inmate population was 52 persons. Staff has transported 11 inmates to and from various locations, including court, medical facilities, and other counties. In addition, we administered 80 weekend drug screens to probationers and have fingerprinted 98 persons at the front counter. Kitchen staff has prepared 4,556 meals at a cost of $2.24 a meal. And if you go back 5 years, I have to go back more than that next time, you know?
Yeah.
I'm interested to see what happened in 2005. Anyways, bookings, we had 147 in 2021. 2016, we had 211. Releases 96. 2016, we had 213. Transports, let's see, there's no data. They didn't give me any data in 2016. Fingerprints, 98 in 2021 and 140 in 2016. And then just some plumbing repairs, we had $1,631.62. HVAC repairs, $7,651.20. Law enforcement, excuse me, we logged 620 complaints month of November, 40 individuals were arrested, 19 felony and 26 misdemeanor charges. There were 142 accidents, 92 involved deer, 4 involved alcohol or drugs. 435 criminal histories were run for warrant entry or warrant request. 83 sex offenders were processed. 28 home checks were conducted by the Berry County, for the Berry County Specialty Courts, and 404 pistol licenses were processed. And 2021, 620 complaints handled, 2016, 612. Accidents handled, 142 in 2021, and 143 in 2016. Car deer accidents were 92 in 2021, and 111 in 2016. Arrests, 19 felony and 26 misdemeanor for 2021, 11 felony and 47 misdemeanor for 2016. Alcohol-related arrests, 6 in 2021, and 5 in 2016.
Any questions for Sheriff Leaf?
I am meeting a company today that has to do with a room sanitizer, and they're up in Grand Rapids. It's called Skytron. So I'll give you a little report on that when I get done with them.
Okay.
It's basically, I forgot what you call it. I don't want to call it infrared, but it's the like the blue like light bulbs.
UV, yeah.
UV, thank you. Using UV to sanitize a room, and we're looking at that for the jail. So
Okay. Awesome.
they're not cheap.
Yeah. Wouldn't think so.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Sheriff. Does any other state or county official have a report to share with the board? Go ahead. Tim Neeb, it is good to see you.
Good morning. I just wanted to come up this morning and offer all of you a sincere thank you for supporting me and my department over the last 22 years. So thank you.
Tim is retiring, going to start a church or something.
We're talking to a church up in the UP about pastoring up there, yeah.
Well, Tim, you've managed our facilities for a long time, and thousands of people have come through here, and we've all depended on you, and you've worked behind the scenes, so thank you, Tim.
Thank you.
Anybody else want to share anything?
No, it's been a pleasure working with Tim. There's times I think he's seen me that he didn't really want to, but he
No.
still seen me.
I mean, we all struggle with that, John.
Yes.
It's a burden.
Very much. Thank you so much.
All right. Is there further reports to share with the board? Hearing none, we'll move ahead. Various correspondence. Does any commissioner have any correspondence to share with the board?
You missed limited public comment.
Limited public comment. This time, any member of the public wishing to address the board may do so for up to 3 minutes.
I'm back. Good morning, guys. Chuck Kurtzler from Hastings City. First of all, I'd like to thank you for the forum meeting you held at the Performance Center about the ARPA funds. It was a great feeling laying in my hospital bed and seeing by a public live feed on Facebook the open forum you promised your employers. I was so hopeful that I would be able to participate via Zoom, but sadly that was not a feat you could accomplish. I also am so overly impressed to see your lack of knowledge of what a forum really is. Merriam-Webster describes a forum as a public meeting for open discussion and not a timed event for the public to speak with no interaction with the board or the ARPA Suggestion Committee. No public concerns were addressed, no questions answered, and at the best, a total and irresponsible outburst, putting down the public asking questions as the head of the advisory board considers her time too important to deal with citizens' concerns. I understand that this board is a volunteer-based committee chosen at some time or another by the commissioners with little or no input from your employers. Why are you so afraid of us? You build walls to protect yourself from us. You use weapons against us to keep us in order, Mr. Gavel. And you put a dog and pony show together to try to appease us. I would ask you some questions right now, but obviously there would be no answers available because no discussions are allowed. So as a part of your employer group, I would like to point out that if we accept these 12 million pieces of candy and get into the van with the honorable and highly trustworthy government, and if they change the rules, or if, heaven forbid, our committee or board errors in taking and using this candy, then who's on the hook to pay it back? You on the board and commissioners, I lost my place. You on the board and committee are, you on the board and committee, or we your employers, how about you hold a true and open forum for your employers to ask questions of concerns to both you and the board and receive immediate answers? How about for once you turn off the clock, leave the Thor hammer at home, and let us have a real open discussion and exchange of thoughts and concerns, and most of all, an exchange of respect from both sides. I was always told you have to give respect to get it, and I feel it's about time you all started to respect your employers and let's have my eyes keep going cross. If we can have let's have a civil exchange of thoughts and concerns. I'm willing if you are. Tear down this protective wall you have enclosed yourselves in, and maybe you will have one less thing to fear. You are our elected representatives, and we are your employers. We all live in the same county, and we did not elect you to be gods to be worshipped and feared, and we do not want you to be in fear of us. Let's shake hands. Let's be neighbors and friends and work together on these issues and accomplish more as a unit together and not divided. Just look at the division these 12 million pieces of candy have already created in this county.
Thank you for your comments.
I got just one more sentence, please.
Okay.
All right, so in closing, I offer my hand in friendship, willing to work with you instead of against you, willing to bury the proverbial hatchet, and praying we can all be civil and respectful group that can accomplish issues together. Remember, walls can be lowered easier than torn down and with a lot less anger and conflict. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there further public comment? Hearing none, we'll move ahead.
Oh, I'm here.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's good. Sorry, I had to crawl out from my hobbit hole over there. Greetings, good morning. Just wanted to, I just maybe have some questions. I've not been able to participate in the public forums. Am I correct in understanding that there have been $12 million for Berry County through ARPA? Is that right? 6 has been allocated and 6 more are pending a year from now. Is that correct? Okay. And it's up to the county to determine whether or not they're going to receive or reject those funds. Have we received the first $6 million already?
Per board policy, we don't typically respond to public comment.
I'll respect that. Well, I just wanted to implore the Board of Commissioners to receive any and all ARPA funds for the future of Berry County for the betterment of our community. I've heard multiple times from various people that we're burdening our next generation. I am that next generation of young adults who are working to better themselves and better their future. And at 34, we bought our first home, which feels kind of late in the game. And that's because we didn't have any equity and we had a whole lot of student debt. If you want to unburden your citizens of Berry County, we will accept these funds and use them for the betterment of our community, to work towards infrastructure, to work towards housing. We put offers on many homes in Hastings and Middleville and could not find a home because, one, the prices are so high because the inventory is so low. So I implore you, receive them and use them, invest in the community, put them as an investment for people like my generation and the generation coming behind me who are going to be strapped in a lot of ways The cost of living goes up, and the cost and wages have not matched the cost of living over the last 40 years. And there's unbelievable data to show that. So I think you've heard a lot of people saying, don't take it, don't take it, don't take it, which seems like a gross irresponsibility on the part of our county. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. Is there further public comment?
Looks like I got here right in time. Adam Heikela, local business owner. These ARPA funds absolutely add to inflation. It's creating of dollars. All that our government at the federal level has done, that the Federal Reserve has done, is creating more debt out of debt. So for anyone to stand up here and try to say that taking these dollars and just allowing everyone around the country to take these dollars that were not even dollars, it's fake currency, that's debt that they've created to have control over us, guys. To have control over us. So the pleading and begging for these funds, once again, the blood money funds that these are, we need a group like you that will stand up. There are far more people that have been here telling you guys that these things are bad, that we want you to make decisions for this community, for the people in this community to have a real voice and a participation in these activities, instead of just being politicians that say something and then do something else, that have control over communities and separate yourselves from the communities. Because that's what our boards are doing. That's what politics has done, that's controlling our government. That should be representation. You all should just be a representative of everyone else, not, and so you have to hear the masses that have come here, the masses that have been coming to all of your meetings. The majority of them are speaking against these funds. They're speaking against the mandates. They're speaking against all of these mainstream political waves that are going on, because we see what they are now. COVID has opened the eyes of people. The pressure that the government has done unjustly over the last 2 years now has opened the eyes of the people. And the people in your community, as a majority, see it. If you don't understand that I guess, what else do the people need to do? Because the people that have come here that speak for these things have all been people that have something to gain from that. Do you recognize that? The ARPA meeting? The people that all stood up and spoke, they all had something to gain. They had a project in their community that they've been wanting to do, and then guess what? Those politicians in those positions are the ones that get the credit for it. They get the fame for it. The debt that's created and the inflation that continues to grow and will grow for generations, not me, it's for our great-grandkids and others. We're going to experience some of it, but just the tip.
Thank you for your comments. Is there further public comment? Hearing none, we'll move ahead. Various correspondence. Does any commissioner have any correspondence they wish to share with the board? On consent items, Commissioner Smelker.
I move for the following consent items. Approval of November 23rd, 2021 Board of Commissioners meeting minutes. Approval of November 30th, 2021 ARPA Public Forum Committee of the Whole meeting minutes. Approval of December 7th, 2021 Committee of the Whole meeting minutes. Approval to reappoint Holly Panero as recommended by the Berry County Humane Society to serve on the Humane Society representative for a one-year term on the Berry County Animal Shelter Advisory Board that begins on 1/1/2022 and expires on 12/31/2022. Approval to reappoint Craig Stolzenberg to serve on the Berry County Transit Board for a 3-year term that begins on 1/1/22 and expires on 12/31/24. Approval to reappoint Cindy Vuja to serve on Central Dispatch Board in a Citizens at Large position for a 4-year term that begins on 1/1/22 and expires on 12/31/25. Approval to reappoint David Tripp to serve on the Berry County Building Authority for a 3-year term that begins on 1/1/22 and expires on 12/31/24. Approval to reappoint Mike Timmons to serve on the Berry County Veterans Affairs Committee for a 4-year term that begins on 1/1/2022 and expires on 12/31/25. Approval to submit the attached 2022 grant application for the Michigan Department of Licensing and Regulatory Affairs, LORA, Bureau of Medical Marijuana Regulations for the Berry County Substance Abuse Task Force to conduct education, communication, and outreach regarding the Michigan Medical Marijuana Act in Berry County. Approval of the 2022 agreement between Berry County and Michigan State University for access to MSU extension programs. Approval of the fiscal year 2022 BJA grant contracts for adult drug court and sobriety court, and authorize the chairperson to sign the grant contracts via DocuSign. Approval of the audit engagement agreement with Walker, Fluke, and Sheldon PC to perform the 2021 Berry County Road Commission annual audit. Approval for Berry County to opt in to the National Opioid Settlement Agreement and authorize Benjamin Geiger, Berry County Board Chair, to sign and submit the settlement participation form on behalf of Berry County.
Second.
Motion by Smalka, supported by Gibson, to approve the items listed under the consent agenda. Discussion is not allowed, and a roll call vote is required. All those in favor will vote aye. Those opposed will vote nay. The clerk will call the roll.
Campbell.
Aye.
Connor.
Aye.
Getty.
Aye.
Gibson.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Smoker.
Aye.
Geiger.
Aye. The consent agenda is approved. All right, today we are going to continue our tradition of recognizing some employees at milestones in their career. And we have 4 recognized today. 3 are here to join us. The first one is Joshua Carter. Josh? Joshua is an assistant prosecutor in our prosecutor's office. He's brought a wealth of experience and service to this county. You've seen a lot, you've done a lot. So and he is celebrating 5 years. On behalf of the people of Berry County, thank you for your service. Jessica Payne. Hi, Jessica. Jessica.
It's been you in a while.
Yeah, it's been a while. So Jessica is celebrating 15 years in the prosecutor's office. It's a little while. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So she is another assistant prosecutor, and she's done a tremendous job at bringing justice to Berry County. So on behalf of the Board of Commissioners and the people of Berry County, thank you for your 15 years. And Inez Straub. Come here. Inez is celebrating 20 years of Berry County. Can you believe it?
No, I can't.
No. Inez is our deputy court administrator, really the air traffic controller for all of the courts in Berry County. We've seen her up here. We've seen her skills and what she does for this county. We haven't seen the 20 years behind the scenes. So on behalf of the Berry County Board of Commissioners and the people of Berry County, thank you for your 20 years.
Thank you.
Janet Otto was not able to be here today. She is in court. That happens when you work in the courts. So we thank her for her 5 years of service. So thank Janet. Julie, did you want to say anything?
I just wanted to say thank you. I'm extremely lucky in my office to have such longevity.
Yes.
So, thank you. No, you're going to go. Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys. Next, we have a presentation from Michelle Williams. She is the CEO of Community Action. Good morning, Michelle.
Thank you all for having me today. I think it's important for my agency to come and talk to the commissioners about the programs and services that we provide in your community. My organization, Community Action, serves 5 counties. And I'd like to thank Commissioner Campbell for his service to our board. So I have broken out the information around our programs and just wanted to fill you in on some of the impact and talk a little bit about what is coming up. So we offer a broad range of services at my organization, really from pregnant moms all the way through seniors. We helped 65 households with utility assistance last year of about $64,000. We helped 29 households with rental assistance. We do not always have rental assistance available, but this year and with CARES funding, we did have some funds available. We have 31 staff employed in Berry County. We have 181 volunteers that help with our different and various programs in Community Action, and they've provided over 400,000 of in-kind hours associated with their volunteering. We have provided 10 homes with weatherization updates. Those are energy efficiency updates that help them with things like attic insulation, replacement of energy inefficient appliances, and that really helps lower their utility bills ongoing and also the comfortability of their home moving forward. We have foster grandparents who serve in early education centers or the K through 12 schools. We have a GED program here and have recently, after COVID began, again in the jail. For this program, we've had 47 tests passed in 2020 and 6 graduates, but again, over the course of this program in the last few years, we've been able to serve over 50 people and have them graduate in our program. We have a commodity food box program that is shelf-stable food. It provides lots of different nutritions, proteins, peanut butter, cereal, canned goods that helps people who are in need of food. One program is for seniors that are 65 and up, and the other are for those 18 and over. We gave out over 500 boxes of food in 2020. We also have Head Start. We just a couple years ago made a renovation to the old Ponderosa building. That has been a huge success here in Berry County. That child care center stays very full. We serve from infants to 5 years old just before they go to kindergarten in those programs. Head Start is 3 and 4 year olds. We served about 117 children in 2020. And then we also have Early Head Start, which is 0 to 3, and that was about 73 children. We also have our Sue Drummond Center in Berry County that serves Head Start children too. As you know or may have heard, we fundraise for some of our utility assistance. So Walk for Warmth is a big event for us every year that helps us to provide some utility assistance. And we did that in the fall this year, and we'll continue that. For our commodity services, if people need that, we have that distributed at Thornapple Church, and that's from 10 to noon. And our senior distribution will be on January 18th upcoming, and for everyone 18 and older on February 15th. We also work with that church for the food pantry there, and they have other food that is given out during that time. For our weatherization, just another upcoming tidbit, program is going to grow in the next few years. Part of the infrastructure plan that has been passed at the federal level is going to increase those funds that are coming into our territories, and it will be a huge increase. So if people need that energy efficiency piece, I know people talked about housing stock. it is really important to help maintain housing stock in our different communities. That really helps to put some energy efficiency and improvement pieces in. So we are happy. I've included on your flyer a 1-877 number. If you know of anyone who needs these services, please refer them. Any service that I talked to you about today can be accessed through that phone number. Any questions for me?
All right, well, thank you, Michelle. Bruce sits on the CAA board. Bruce, do you have any questions or comments?
I'd just like to make a couple comments. Getting on the board and being totally new when it started, I was just overwhelmed at what all this group of people do. They have an amazing board. Michelle was kind enough to give me a show around the main campus there and everything, and it's just mind-boggling what extent they go to help our needy brothers and sisters in our area. So thank you, Michelle, for all you do.
Thank you, Michelle. I have a question on the GED program.
Sure.
So we have 47 tests passed, 6 graduates. So was the balance between 6 and 47 unsuccessful tests or individuals that did not complete the program?
So there are 4 different tests, and actually we added not only a GED component in now, we also have a high school equivalency, so we can help people with their high school equivalency too. But the math test is the most challenging part of that test.
I know.
So
we have Michael. We just say, Michael? We have math questions.
So we have many clients that get through those first 3 tests, and the math test is where it takes the longest for them to get through. 2020 was interrupted by a COVID, so that's why the numbers were so low there. But people work on that math test probably the longest, and so then you will see once they pass that final test, then they will get that GED credential.
Okay, great. So what are some of the trends that you're seeing in Berry County is in terms of needs of service or emerging needs?
Yep. So when we received the CARES funding, one of the things that we saw or had as an additional service was mortgage assistance and property tax assistance. That is something that we see some greater need for, that rental assistance piece, than we have had previously. Certainly, utility and rental assistance is one of the things that we get called for the most, and we see as an increased need. The other thing that is a challenge right now is in our early childhood programs, there are not enough teachers. So we are seeing a limit, like the state had asked us to help with the GSRP, the Great Start Readiness Program in Berry County. And we have kids that are ready to go into that program, but we don't have the teachers to teach them. So there has been some challenge in that this year, and we are seeing places like Kent County recruiting our teachers out of Berry County because of the wage gap. So that is a challenge. We have right now 11 teacher openings, and anyone that you know that is interested in early childhood, we can provide the technical knowledge and credentialing, so we help people get through their schooling if they're interested in early childhood. We just need people who are interested in working with children.
Great.
Yep.
Questions or comments from the rest of the board? Catherine?
Oh, thank you for all that you do. I think it really makes an impact in Berry County.
Thank you.
John?
Just thank you for what you do.
Ooh.
I have no questions. Thanks for everything you do.
Vivian?
Thank you very much for everything that you do for Berry County and bringing all this assistance to our residents. Thank you.
And David?
Yeah, Michelle, appreciate concise information. It's good to have these speed sheets that show us everything that's going on. When I see 10 homes receive $54,000 in weatherization updates, what do you think federal funds will double that, or is that anybody's guess at this point?
Well, so our funds are projected to go from about $9 million as a state to $190 million as a state. So I do believe that they're still working on the components of what that looks like. We generally put around $6,500 into a home right now as a part of those improvements. I'm hoping to see that increase, like the total amount being able to spend on a home increase, so that we can do larger homes, because they're very, sometimes they tend to be older and inefficient. And then, of course, the total number of homes that will be able to be served will hopefully be able to increase quite a bit also.
And those homes are based on income guidelines?
Their income guidelines, generally about 200% of poverty or so.
Okay, and you said you work in 5 counties.
We do.
Is there a specific number of homes in Berry County that you can look at every year, or is it region?
It's really just based on demand. So we have not had an issue with having anybody go on the wait list. The thing that stops services and weatherization is if the home is in such bad repair that it doesn't make sense to make the improvement. So if the roof is leaking, putting new insulation in just ruins the insulation immediately. So we have had, and the state has worked at their level to give us some dollars to help maybe do some repairs before that weatherization work is done. That's really been the limit to our issue. So, I mean, we, and especially with this additional money going forward, have not had any limits. It's just demand-based.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. Appreciate your time.
Yep.
Thank you, Michelle.
Yep.
Moving ahead, public hearings, we have none. Items for consideration.
Mr. Chair, I would move for approval of transfers and disbursements, approval of prepaid invoices in the amount of $5,921,300.12. Approval of claims in the amount of $45,092.27. Approval of commissioner reimbursements mileage in the amount of $57.46.
Second.
Motion by Connor, supported by Smelka, for the approval of transfers and disbursements, approval of prepaid invoices in the amount of $5,921,300.12, approval of claims in the amount of $45,092.27, and approval of commissioner reimbursement mileage in the amount of $57.46. Is there discussion? Hearing none, the clerk call the roll.
Connor.
Aye.
Getty.
Aye.
Gibson.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Smelker.
Aye.
Campbell.
Aye.
Geiger.
Aye. The item is approved.
Mr. Chair, I would move for the adoption of Resolution 2127, pledging the full faith and credit to Crooked Brook Intercounty Drain Bonds.
Support.
Motion by Connor, supported by Gibson, for adoption of Resolution 2127, pledging the full faith and credit to Crooked Brook Intercounty Drain Bonds. Is there discussion? Hearing none, the clerk call the roll.
Getty.
Aye.
Gibson.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Smelker.
Aye.
Campbell.
Aye.
Connor.
Aye.
Geiger.
Aye. The resolution is adopted.
Mr. Chair, I would move for the adoption of Resolution 2128, resolution of intent to file for state operating assistance for fiscal year 2023.
Support.
Motion by Connor, supported by Jackson, for the adoption of Resolution 2128, a resolution of intent to file for state operating assistance for fiscal year 2023. Is there discussion? Hearing none, the clerk call the roll.
Gibson.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Smelker.
Aye.
Campbell.
Aye.
Connor.
Aye.
Getty.
Aye.
Geiger.
Aye. The resolution is adopted.
Mr. Chair, I would move for the adoption of Resolution 2129 to adopt the 2021 Berry County Hazard Mitigation Plan and authorize the Chair and Emergency Management Coordinator to sign.
Support.
Motion by Connor, supported by Smelker, for the adoption of Resolution 2129, resolution to adopt the 2021 Berry County Hazard Mitigation Plan and authorize the Chair and Emergency Management Coordinator to sign. Is there discussion? Hearing none, the clerk call the roll.
Jackson.
Aye.
Smelker.
Aye.
Campbell.
Aye.
Connor.
Aye.
Getty.
Aye.
Gibson.
Aye.
Geiger.
Aye. The resolution is adopted.
Mr. Chair, I would move for the adoption of Resolution 2131 to authorize auditor to make final year-end appropriations.
Support.
Motion by Connor, supported by Gibson, for the adoption of Resolution 2131, resolution to authorize the auditor to make final year-end appropriations. Is there discussion? Hearing none, the clerk call the roll.
Smelker.
Yeah.
Campbell.
Aye.
Aye.
Connor.
Aye.
Getty.
Aye.
Gibson.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Geiger.
Aye. The resolution is adopted.
Mr. Chair, stop hitting that so hard.
No, it bounces.
Oh, it bounces, okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Let me try it the other way around.
Adoption of Resolution 2132 to authorize the auditor to transfer 2021 general fund surplus funds to various internal service funds.
Second.
Motion by Connor, supported by Getty, for the adoption of Resolution 2132 to authorize the auditor to transfer 2021 general fund surplus funds to various internal service funds. Is there discussion? Hearing none, the clerk call the roll.
Campbell.
Aye.
Connor.
Aye.
Getty.
Aye.
Gibson.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Smelker.
Aye.
Geiger.
Aye. The resolution is adopted.
It's better. Yeah, because it's not bouncing, okay.
Yeah.
Mr. Chair, I would move for the approval to confirm the reappointment of Frank Fiala for the year 2022 to serve as the Berry County Road Commissioner on the Berry County Solid Waste Oversight Committee as recommended by the Berry County Road Commission.
Support.
Motion by Connor, supported by Jackson, for the approval to confirm the reappointment of Frank Fiala for the year 2022 to serve as the Berry County Road Commissioner on the Berry County Solid Waste Oversight Committee as recommended by the Berry County Road Commission. Is there discussion? Hearing none, the clerk call the roll.
Connor.
Aye.
Getty.
Aye.
Gibson.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Smelker.
Aye.
Campbell.
Aye.
Geiger.
Aye. The item is approved.
Mr. Chair, I would move for the approval to authorize the addition of a third kennel worker position working 18 hours per week with funds to come from general fund contingency.
Support.
Motion by Connor, supported by Jackson, for the approval to authorize the addition of a third kennel worker position working 18 hours per week with funds to come from the general fund contingency. Discussion? So, our shelter operates really out of passion for the animals and for the people that we serve. And it's come to our attention in previous meetings that they need some help down there. So hopefully this does something to assist in some of the challenges that's happening down there. But also, if you are interested in volunteering in the shelter, we could always use more volunteers. So, Dave, do you have anything to add?
Nope, just that Ken pointed out they've gone from 400 volunteer hours a month to 25 in the COVID, and they just need help there. The need hasn't changed, the pets haven't changed. I mean, the number of pets that come in and out of there, lost pets, adoptions, they're still working the same hours, they're just doing it with very few people to help. So, you know, this is a step in the right direction.
That's a huge loss from 400 to 25. Any other discussion or comments? Hearing none, the question before the board is approval to authorize the addition of a third kennel worker position working 18 hours per week with funds to come from the general fund contingency. The clerk will call the roll.
Getty.
Aye.
Gibson.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Smelker.
Aye.
Campbell.
Aye.
Connor.
Aye.
Geiger.
Aye, the item is approved.
Mr. Chair, I would move for the approval of Budget Amendment 21-E.
Support.
Motion by Connor, supported by Gibson, for the approval of Budget Amendment 21E. Is there a discussion? Hearing none, the clerk call the roll.
Gibson.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Smelker.
Aye.
Campbell.
Aye.
Connor.
Aye.
Getty.
Aye.
Geiger.
Aye, the item is approved. Unfinished business, we have none. New business, we have none. County Administrator's report.
I'm all set, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Chairperson's report. So, recently we did have a public forum to hear from our task force on what the best use of the ARPA funds are in Berry County. We as a county have accepted it. We've cashed the first check, and we intend to invest it wisely. So I'd just like to have a discussion. What are the board's wishes on moving forward? Are we comfortable with the task force's recommendations? Or do we want to kick the tires on this a little more?
I would like to have some more talks about. There's a couple on there I'd like to talk about.
Okay.
I'm in agreement with John. There's a couple
Yeah.
that we think we need to talk about.
What do you think, Catherine?
I'm in favor of getting questions answered. If there are questions, certainly we want to be comfortable with how we spend the money.
Absolutely. Bruce, do you have any thoughts?
Yeah, I agree totally with John on there. There's just a few items on there of concern and stuff and where it's going and stuff, so I think we should discuss it.
Okay. David?
Can we schedule Bonnie and/or a few members of the committee to come back up and
Yeah,
they're
absolutely.
at a COW or a BOC in the near future?
Which brings me to my next item. We are going to have slim attendance at our December 28th meeting, and I'm worried about a quorum. I think we can consolidate both our meetings to the 21st, but that would put our ARPA discussion into January. So, yeah, we could bring Bonnie and team up in January. Maybe later in the month. What do you think?
I think it's important to get that information out, because if we need information from the applicants themselves, we want to make sure that they're available to answer those questions. The task force members aren't always in the best position to answer details beyond the application they received.
What do you think?
I don't have any more questions for that board.
Okay. So the consensus the board feels like we have some questions, we want to get them answered before we go ahead and sign off on these projects, and we'll do that in January. Great.
Mr. Chair, can I ask a quick question? So, as we think about kind of coordinating that meeting, do you want to, are you thinking that you'll have an opportunity at, let's say, the last meeting in January, with the holidays and such, to have Bonnie come in or a couple folks from the task force come in and have some conversation, refresh, if you may, yourself about the recommendation, have some conversation there, figure out the questions that might exist, and then leading into Commissioner Getty's comments about the need to have folks who wrote the proposal come in at another date to talk about that, or would you like to try to have everybody that was on the list? My thoughts, what I'm trying to anticipate is if I were one of the folks that wrote the proposal, I'd be kind of interested, what are the questions? And maybe it's a situation where you as a board come to a decision and say, yeah, we don't have any questions about items 1, 3, and 5, but we do. So there might not be a need to have those individuals come in. I guess it would be helpful as we try to coordinate and as we feel in conversation that you potentially have a conversation amongst yourself and with Bonnie to kind of gather your thoughts on what items you do have questions and what those questions might be, so that then we can hone in and spend our time on those issues that need to be addressed and can prepare folks to come prepared to answer those, if that makes sense.
Right. Based on what I've heard from the board today, it feels to me as if we have specific questions based on some decisions or recommendations. Maybe we have some questions on specific projects, but it does not feel to me as if we have a whole lot of questions on the overall process and the validity of the task force making recommendations. That being said, procedurally, to approve these items, we would have to go through a COW and a BOC.
Yeah, that would That's normally our.
Yeah.
um,
And definitely with the projects these size, we want to continue that. What are the board's thoughts on having the ARPA recommendations approved at the COW and the BOC in the last 2 weeks of January?
Be here on the 18th, which is the cow. Second cow.
Well, you'll be in our hearts, Vivian. Are you going somewhere warm?
That is,
Yeah.
define warm.
Mhm. Well, if you have specific questions you would like to have asked, you can submit them,
Okay.
and we will make sure that they are asked and answered publicly.
Okay.
So are we comfortable with this path, board? All right.
So,
Last cycle of January.
and who would you like to have attend the meeting on the 18th?
Task force is invited for the COW.
Just, again, to that comment, just the task force, which would then potentially
Yes.
lead into who?
Commissioners, if you have questions regarding a specific project, please let Michael know, and that he can tell the task force, and so they can bring materials and invite the actual applicants up. If
We're not going to go through the process again, are we?
no,
Okay.
well, I mean, our process is
No, I mean their process, how they came up with the,
no.
okay, because I didn't think we need to.
No, we empowered this task force to evaluate ideas, actually to solicit ideas, to evaluate them, and give us a recommendation based on logic and metrics, and they did exactly that.
Does MAC have anything available for consultant or anything on what is acceptable on this ARPA funds?
I think if you're asking the question about pre-qualifying or certifying, if you may, the projects to ensure that that they will be allowable and not disallowed. Of course, the most and normally with grants, the agency that you're getting the grant from does that. They say, okay, we approve that grant. That's not occurring, of course, in this process. The federal government, Department of Treasury, just doesn't have, I'm sure, the staff and whatnot. MAC has advised that there are 2 or 3 companies that will perform that type of service. I haven't met with any of them. I've started to hear some discussion amongst my peers as they've engaged some of these firms. I can do some research on that, but yes, MAC has pre-qualified, if you may, some contracts with 2 or 3 companies. We've also begun to look at and reach out to accounting or auditing firms to see if Raymond Robson, for example, used to be our auditor, a very large auditing firm, to see if they, let me back up, and consulting firm, to see if they have an expertise or are weighing in on any of this. We've also reached out to our auditor. I don't know that our auditor will, because they audit, will do that, but nonetheless, we've reached out and to ask them. So, but I went a little bit, answered a little bit more than what you asked, but there are a couple of consulting firms that are available. I can certainly get some further detail and information on that if you'd like.
I would.
A question?
Yeah.
Do any of these firms have also legal expertise? I mean, I know that was also asked about at the forum, you know, of having our attorneys look at some of this.
I'll find out.
Okay.
One of the questions that trying to define is what is it that, you know, they certify or.
Right.
I don't, to the degree that they, of course, we're all looking for a guarantee.
Right.
And
We're
I
just
don't
not
know
gonna
if-
get it.
I don't know if you'll be able to find that anywhere. So, what do they, what does their services?
We're just ahead of the game. I anticipated that there would be companies out there that perform these type of services. And last year, when we started talking about the ARPA task force, I think I mentioned it publicly that there would be these firms out there. So we used our local expertise to accomplish pretty much the same thing. Actually, the same thing.
I have another question. Amongst your counterparts in the other counties, do you know of counties that are already paying out some of the ARPA funds to people that have applied to them?
I'm not aware of anybody that started spending the money.
Okay.
But that doesn't, I'm certain there probably are.
Okay. I just thought maybe in my head.
I just haven't followed that as closely.
Well, there was
to
still one
see.
county that paid their commissioners $25,000 each in
Well, that one, yes.
hazard pay.
I am aware of a county, Mecosta County.
We are not
that
proposing that.
did enter into an agreement with one of the consulting firms.
Okay.
So
Right.
I am aware of that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I am not opposed to continue to vet and be sure. I think trying to certify these projects is going to be nearly impossible. But I know our task force has done a good job vetting them. You've done a good job vetting them. But if there are other opportunities to put an additional set of eyeballs on these projects, sometimes when you look at something so many times, you can miss something. So if there's a resource available that is not overly expensive for us to do it, I wouldn't be opposed to putting additional eyeballs on them as well.
Thank you, Michael. So just to summarize what we just heard, we're going to continue with the process that we've started with the ARPA task force, and in late January, we're going to have an opportunity to have the task force up here and answer any specific questions the board may have related to individual projects. And we're going to cancel the December 28th meeting and consolidate it.
We are.
Canceling the 28th?
Yeah.
So will we have the second meeting?
We'll have to.
1 o'clock on
No, it will be.
21st?
Well, or Michael, what's your preference? It's usually the board meets right after the committee of the whole, right?
That's generally how it's done. You could also just have it as a board meeting as opposed to a committee of the whole and a board. You could just post.
Let's do that.
Post it as a board meeting and you'd have the discussion right
yeah.
there and either approve the item or not. It would just be done all to that meeting. Is that what your preference is, that you effectively cancel the cow and reschedule the 28th Board of Commissioners to the 21st at 9 a.m. and that will finish?
Yeah, I will need the board's approval to cancel a committee meeting per bylaws. So I guess the chair would entertain a motion to cancel the December 21st Committee of the Whole meeting and schedule a Board of Commissioners meeting on that day.
I'll make that motion.
Support.
The motion is made by Jackson, supported by Getty. Is there discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Vice Chairperson's report.
I didn't have much last week, just a solid waste oversight committee meeting. We're looking at doing an RFP next in 2022 for our 2023 pickups that we have out at the fairground for recyclables.
Yeah.
It's a little late now because already those people that work those are asking for contracts to be signed. So we'll be looking at doing that RFP for the 2023 hazardous household waste pickups.
What's going on with the recycling coordinator with
I
solid waste?
may have misspoke myself when I talked to you the other day. Rachel was there, and she's going gangbusters. She's
Great.
on the websites and Facebook, and she's getting some questions, and she attended a couple of conferences,
She's attending a lot.
two in person. So this last go round, so yeah, so she's really getting acclimated. She had one more township to visit of all the 16 townships in Berry County.
Which one was it, do you know?
I believe it was Irving, wasn't it?
She's been to Irving and she's been to Rutland.
Rutland when? This last week?
Mhm.
Yeah, that was the one that, yeah. Rutland, sorry. Been to all of them then?
That's an accomplishment.
It is. It is. That's it. That's all I have.
Commissioner reports. We'll start with Commissioner Campbell.
Okay. I attended several township meetings. Baltimore Township and Syria Township both have received portions of their ARPA funds, and still much discussion going on that with that subject. Also attended the Johnstown Township. They have a new fire chief after 42 years with Pete Dunn. The new chief is Chris Straswick. Seems like a really great guy. Also attended the solid waste with Vivian, and I agree with her that Rachel seems to be doing a great job right now. She's a go-getter. She's out there meeting everybody and really doing a good job, I feel. That's what I have.
Commissioner Jackson.
Just getting started. It was at Hope Township last night. Sarah was there, or Rachel was there last night, and I'll be at Berry Township tonight.
Mr. Gibson.
I'm just getting started. I'll be at Hastings Township tonight.
Commissioner Smelker.
I've only attended Rutland, and they are talking about their ARPA funds. And reminds me, can you send Rutland a copy of the minutes of the forum? Thank you. Thank you.
Commissioner Getty.
I attended Village of Middleville meeting. They have elected Sherry Ronning. She was President Pro Tem to the president position, and they will be seeking to backfill her position on the council. They have lots of Christmas celebrations happening, really energized by the new shop owners, new shops opening in Middleville. They had a new liquor license granted to the smokehouse. So just, it's great to see that small town really revitalized. Hard to find a parking spot most nights.
I'm from Woodland. It's more of a big city to us.
Yeah. All things being relative, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Thornapple Township meeting was last night. They're also, they received their first installment of the ARPA funds, and they are going to be meeting with members of the task force in January, mid-January, to discuss how to move forward and identifying some projects in Thornapple. And they voted last night to purchase 800 megahertz radios, 30 800 megahertz radios for the Thornapple Emergency Services. So a very large investment in keeping our front line safe.
What are, in short, what are the benefits of 800 megahertz versus different band radios? I'm asking you guys are experts.
Do you want to?
Better reception.
Better reception?
That's what the state police is on.
Mm-hmm. Dar.
And Dar?
Yeah.
Not just better reception, but we don't get skipped from all around the world. And I'm not kidding, we'd be on the midnight shift and you'd be hearing chatter from Georgia on a good clear night. Sometimes you hear stuff from Milwaukee, stuff bouncing across the lakes and stuff like that. The 800 megahertz is a little more direct and a lot more controllable signal that we have.
Okay.
And then, like I said, it's crystal clear too. When it comes across, you don't get all that static.
Okay. So that's why it's a higher band, and
And there's less people on it.
You can also encrypt certain things like the tactical teams and stuff like that, the drug teams. And that's, of course, that's important for the officer safety and all that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sometime I'd like to hear, go down to the jail and see the difference between 800 megahertz and the normal band.
There are some flaws to it, like thick buildings, metal buildings and stuff like that we have a hard time communicating out of, but it's getting better. That's part of the reason why they're asking for that tower, because that'll help knock that down quite a bit.
Great. Right. Thanks, Sheriff.
When seconds matter, this is a really important investment.
Yeah, absolutely.
For our frontline workers.
Yeah. Absolutely. I attended Yankee Springs Township meeting. They're proceeding with their building renovations and continued talks about water expansions. And then I'll finish just with saying that our hospitals continue to be full beyond capacity. I've heard from multiple emergency room doctors in our hospitals, nurses, staff. They're completely burnt out, and it's very sad to see what's happening. And in honor of Dan Parker, who we lost 1 year ago today, just please, everyone, do your part to keep our community safe. Follow the health guidelines and recommendations. We don't want to lose more people.
Can't believe it's been a year. Dan Parker was a good man.
He was.
And I've asked myself, had conversation with others, what would Dan say in moments like these? He would be challenged, but he'd want us to pull together as a community and pull through. And I did hear last night that Pennock was full. Get your shots. Get vaccinated. It's safe. It's effective. All right. Limited public comment at this time. Any member of the public wishing to address the board may do so for up to 3 minutes.
Ooh, man, a lot was said here since I last spoke to you for 3 minutes. Now, again, I come to these things and I talk about the things that I do because of my personal experience. My personal experience running a nonprofit organization. And in my experience, I learned what a socialist control we have going on in our nation. And in some of the things that we have here, now, people that run these groups are kind and loving individuals. But majority of them simply do not know the system that they are a part of. The cog in the wheel, just like all of you. You're really just a cog in the wheel because you're not making decisions for the people that are coming to ask you to make decisions. You are making decisions based upon political powers and pressures that you have on you. So we have cycles of socialist controls that have been going on. We just heard from a nonprofit organization now that has how big of an increase of funds? Because they need to help people in the community with things like their insane costs for electricity. And then what do? We have the lobbyist for that one energy provider that we have in Consumers Energy. We have them on our board to help guide the process, right? That is how the whole system works. I was being trained to be that person. I made sure that nonprofit was shut down in my community. I made sure they paid me every dime in the first 2 months so that they could not continue in my community and be the gatekeeper. My job was the same thing, to collect funds, to start other groups, to assist those people in the community, right? That's the guys, that's the feel good that they make you believe you're doing. But the whole reason they have to do this is because where that money is coming from for them is because of the thumb that is the federal government that has that has affected our free market here, right? Because it's not a free market. We have these huge corporations now that are controlling these markets that create such costs all the way down to these people that are poor, that continue to keep them poor, that then need all these different organizations, right? They need them. But they don't need them. Only because of the tyrannical controls that are not supposed to be in our systems, that you will not recognize, that you now have approved, and you just continue on, and la-da-da. This is going to go away, right, guys? It's not going to go away. These people are awake now in your community. And they see you continue to make these decisions without listening to the majority of who you are supposed to be representing.
Thank you for your comments. Is there further public comment?
Jim Delberry, County Drain Commission. I know you missed me. One, I want to send kudos out that you guys are looking at the ARPA money and letting the lawyers look at it to make sure, not that the government will come back on us, but to be able to say, hey, we had our lawyers look at it. What we did was as close to following procedures as what you wanted. Second of all, the Cloverdale project, I was going to tell you the 28th, but now you've moved that meeting, is completed. The contractor is done. Cloverdale Lake is down to a sustainable level right now. We are working on setting a legal lake level. Long Lake, I believe, and David will back me up, is at a level that they seem to be happy with, which is about 907.6, 907.7. We haven't put a control structure on. But that whole project is done, completed, behind us. In retrospect, Tammy went through the files, and that was petitioned in '74, but the Drain Commissioner didn't do a damn thing about it, which is disappointing to see that we could have saved $480,000 in DEQ requirements and other things that got transferred forward to our property owners now. So
You just never did it?
no, he said, the DNR had said that if you're going to do something, you should go through getting lake levels also. And so he just sent a letter back saying, well, get them done and we'll consider it. And there was a people petition. What he did was illegal. So, and it's sad that our property owners now have to pay because we have county officials that don't bother to get their button gear and get their job done. So, thank you.
Thank you. Is there further public
Merry
comment?
Christmas.
Merry Christmas, Jim. Is there further public comment?
Yeah, I forgot to give my name earlier. Danny Quanstrom, local pastor, and I want to warn you that if you give a microphone to a preacher, you need to get ready. This Sunday, the scripture reading is the Magnificat, Mary's song, and she says, "My soul magnifies the Lord." That's what Magnificat means, to magnify, which is to make much of. And then in Mary's song, she sings, "My soul magnifies the Lord, my spirit rejoices in God my Savior, for he has looked with favor on the lowliness of his servant. Surely from now on all generations will call me blessed. The mighty one has done great things for me, and holy is his name. His mercy is for those who fear him from generation to generation. He has shown strength with his arm. He has scattered the proud in the thoughts of their hearts. He has brought down the powerful from their thrones and lifted up the lowly. He has filled the hungry with good things and sent the rich away empty. He has helped his servant Israel in remembrance of his mercy, according to the promise he made to our ancestors." And so if there's anything that I think is important as we are looking at ARPA and as we're looking at what we're doing as a community, if we want to make much of the Lord in our community, and as a pastor I do, I think what that means is we care for the poor, the low, the hungry. And if ARPA can, I'm not a part of any committee or conversation, but just as a local clergy person, I think it's so important that we make much of those who are without, those who are hungry, those who are homeless, and that is how we magnify the Lord. That is how we see the Lord clearly. That is how we perceive the Lord greatly, is by looking on those who are overlooked, who are marginalized, who are oppressed. And if these ARPA funds can go to help those who are without, I think we saw a clear example that there's a great need in our community from Michelle earlier, and I'm so grateful that she had an opportunity to speak. The needs are great in our community, And if we can make much of those who are without, I think we will see great transformation in our community, and I think we will see hope and peace and justice and mercy. So let's magnify the Lord by looking on and making much of those who are without. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there further public comment?
Can you give me that?
Free this one. No, schedule it. 3. It's my understanding with the ARPA, Chuck Hertzler, City Hastings, sorry. It's my understanding these ARPA funds, we do not have to spend right away. We can actually put them in an interest-bearing account. We have till 2024 to decide what to do with them. And I know also that on the list of suggestions from the federal government, guidelines, whatever you want to call it, is that people come first, infrastructure last. And one of the key things I know about the infrastructure section, it says that it cannot be used for further advancement. All we can do is use it to maintain the infrastructure we have. Now, we can't account for growth or predict many more people coming in and stuff. Like the Reverend just said, people should come first. And that's the very first thing on the list for what you do with the ARPA money. And yet in all that report that we see, it's all infrastructure. So I would hope and pray that before we just rash, obviously you already cashed a check, you already send out the money and stuff from what I've heard here today, why can't we set it aside until we can come to a community agreement of what to do with this ARPA funds that is going to be within the guidelines of the federal government so we don't end up paying it back for stuff? What is the rush to get this money spent right away when we have till 2024 to be able to use it? In the meantime, we can draw interest off and even have more money to spend. I mean, that kind of makes sense to me. And I would just kind of hope that you guys maybe rethink this a little bit. Instead of rush. Rome wasn't built in a day. We don't have to spend that money today. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there further public comment? Hearing none, we'll move ahead. Other business. Inez, we did have this, if you want to come up for a second. First of all, I apologize. I referred to you as Deputy Trial Court Administrator. You are the Trial Court Administrator, so apologies for that. Inez alerted me to an issue that we have with a grant extension regarding the coronavirus emergency supplemental grant. So the courtroom acoustic project, that pot of money that we were funding that project out of, we didn't spend all the money, and so the state of Michigan is giving us an extension.
Correct.
Okay. Now, the board did authorize me to sign the contract for that grant agreement. Is there any objection for me signing the extension? It extends it to
June 30th, 2022.
Can I ask
Yes.
another question? Are they going to start installing those panels? Is that what I read in my email?
Well, I've signed the contract with the contractor, so he's purchasing the acoustical panels, and hopefully between February and March we'll have that completed.
Oh, okay.
Great. So there's no issue with me signing this. Thank you, Inez.
You're welcome.
All right, we have no.
Oh, wait
Go
a
ahead.
second. And as we come back up. So just for the people here, we had this money, but we couldn't find people that were willing to do the project because of all the contractors. It was a small job for them. It was big for us in impact, but it was a small job for them. And so we finally found somebody, and that's why we had to delay the project, was because a lot of contractors just didn't want to take it because it was just kind of a small job for them. And time consuming, but just not really very big. Am I not right?
Correct. We did, at the beginning of the project, we had reached out to a company, a contractor, they were from out of town. The bid came back extremely high based on some other projects that were going on in the county. We asked the local contractor if he would be willing to bid it. Contractors are super busy right now, so they're being very selective on what they want to take on. The local contractor did come back and bid the project, and it was more reasonable within the, the grant fund amount. And so he was willing to do that for us.
I just wanted to let
Thank you
people
for
know
letting
why,
us know.
why we had to extend it, but thanks for helping with that.
John, did you want to add anything?
No, I agree 100% with that. The first bid was astronomical, I thought.
Great, thank you, Board. So we have no other business, and we've reached the end of our agenda. If there's no objection, the Board will now adjourn. No objection, the Board is adjourned.